This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, a very good afternoon to everyone. Thank you for your patience and taking your time off to attend this SketchUp webinar today. I'm Greg Hogan, Application Specialist of ACA Pacific Singapore, and I'll be here today presenting to you on our SketchUp Webinar Series for the month of May, exploring the top 5 must-have extensions in SketchUp. Before I begin my presentation today, I hope everyone is staying safe and keeping healthy during these tough times we are facing here in Singapore. So here's the agenda we'll cover for today. Firstly, I'll give a corporate overview of ACA Pacific Singapore and a brief introduction to SketchUp for those of you who have not had the chance to use this software before. I will then go into the live demonstration to show you the different functionalities of these top 5 extensions that I have picked out. I'd also like to touch on the online SketchUp ATC training that ACA Pacific is currently offering. And finally, we'll have an interactive Q&A session at the end of the presentation, so do stay with us as there will be prizes to be won later on. So ACA Pacific is an IT distribution company that has regional presence in the Asia Pacific region. Our office is currently located in Clarke Quay, Singapore, and we also have offices in Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand, as well as Australia. We carry a variety of solutions ranging from cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, networking, server and storage infrastructure, and many more. But today we'll be focusing on the design software solutions, more specifically SketchUp. SketchUp is an easy-to-use 3D modeling software that drives your creativity, productivity, communication, and most importantly, delivering your design intent results. So let me give a brief introduction on how SketchUp started out. It was first developed by a startup company known as Last Software in 1999. Google then acquired Last Software in 2006, where they were attracted with the developments of the plugin for Google Earth. In 2012, Trimble acquired SketchUp from Google, and in 2013, Trimble SketchUp was released along with the brand new feature known as the Extension Warehouse, which we'll be touching on today. So this is the ecosystem that encompasses the capabilities of the SketchUp Pro software. So if you purchase SketchUp, these are the full suite of products that will come along with it. It will include layout, style builder, the 3D warehouse, and also the extension warehouse. I'll explain to you later in the upcoming slides on the features and details of each one. SketchUp also has a large install base with annual activations at about 33 million across different countries, and the completed projects count exceeding 1 million. They also have an active social media following and a strong presence within the educational institutes. So this is SketchUp Pro, which is the easy-to-use 3D modeling tool. It is something that can be easily learned, and you can start with from scratch into extrusion into building your 3D model. You can then populate your models through the 3D warehouse. You can have 3D annotations, dimensioning, and you can transform SketchUp into your own custom tool by using the extension warehouse. SketchUp Layout is where you can present your 3D models directly into a 2D space. So now you can connect dynamically your 3D model to your 2D documentations. You can call out materials, lengths, design details. If you require to create custom templates, you also can do so in Layout. And you can export this in DWG, DXF, PDF, or the image standards, JPEG and PNG. Okay, this is the 3D warehouse where it's integrated within your SketchUp software. So there are more than 23 million users every year, and constantly there's always new objects that are being uploaded into the warehouse. So it ranges from very simple items such as chairs, furniture for interior design, up to many different landscape and site designs, such as these skyscrapers that you can see down here. So you can import all these models from the 3D warehouse directly into your model, And some of these manufacturers, even Bosch, they upload their models directly into SketchUp so that you can use them in your workspace. So the interesting thing now is, we are facing this COVID-19 crisis here across the world. So what happened is SketchUp currently has a COVID-19 section where they build personal protective equipment. You can see here these two examples. This is the COVID-19 face shield bracket. So all this equipment is being uploaded into the warehouse for people to download into their model. And if you have a 3D printer, even print these items. So that is a really good initiative that we have to continue helping these frontline workers and anyone who is helping with this crisis that's going on right now. So locally here in Singapore, this was shown in the Channel News Asia News, I think, just a couple of days back. So this is an example of design of, these are known as ear savers, and it's helping the frontline workers, especially when they face discomfort when they put their mask on for long periods of time. So this one, the local 3D printing community in Singapore is currently designing this and printing this for the frontline workers. And this is also available in the 3D warehouse. So if you know anyone who has a 3D printer or you do have a 3D printer, you can always download this model from SketchUp and then provide this for all the frontline workers. So this is an initiative here in Singapore that they are trying to work on. Okay, next is the extension warehouse. So this is the one that we'll be going through today. You can have many different plugins, from free even to paid plugins. You can find specific industry tools. You can explore some tools such as photorealistic rendering, estimation, and even parametric design. And you can develop your very own SketchUp extension using the Ruby API. So Trimble Connect is a cloud storage and collaboration platform. So this is a place where you can collaborate with your design team to work on different revisions or different file activities of your SketchUp models. You can assign tasks to your team members, and you can access this across multiple platforms. So what you can do is you can have it on your web browser, and you can download these models directly into your SketchUp space. If you do any revisions, it will update into the Trimble Connect platform. You can also view it in mobile as well as virtual reality applications. Okay, so now I'll move on to the SketchUp Pro 2020 top 5 must-have extensions. So if you're a current user of SketchUp, I believe you might have explored the extension warehouse. Today I'll demonstrate some of the features that I feel can really enhance your workflow and improve your design efficiency. Okay, before I go into the live demonstration, so let me give a brief overview of how you can download these extensions first. So where can you find SketchUp extensions? You can find it either directly from your extension warehouse, or you can find it on this website known as Sketchucation. So this is a very large community that works within Sketchucation. You can access over 800 SketchUp extensions that you might not find from the extension warehouse, and you can directly download them from the plugin store. So later on, I will show you how to download these different plugins. Okay, so these are the 5 plugins or 5 extensions that I think will be very useful in your own workflow. Let me give you a brief overview of these few extensions before I go into the demonstration. The first one is known as Selection Toys, developed by TomTom. This allows the user to create, manipulate, and filter selections. So this is a foundation tool which I feel is very important, because it will allow you to filter your items in your model based on, is it a group, is it a component, is it arcs, circles, and different faces. We have this functionality to easily filter out the items that you want to select. The next one is known as Join Push Pull by Fredo 6. This is a set of tools designed to add extrusion abilities to SketchUp, including a very, very important functionality, the ability to push, pull, and extrude curved surfaces. So the native push-pull tool in SketchUp does not allow you to push curved surfaces. So this tool here will allow you to do that and enhance a lot of your design processes. The next one is known as VisualHole, also developed by Fredo 6. This is a suite of interactive tools dedicated to cut holes and extrusions on planar and curved surfaces. Later on, I'll do this demonstration for you. The next one here is Pushline by Dennis. This allows you to push edges the same way that the push-pull tool allows you to push faces. It's a very simple tool, but it's definitely very handy to use, especially when you're working with a lot of line work. The next one is Round Corner by Fredo 6. This will allow you to perform the rounding of edges and corners of 3D shapes along a 2D profile. Okay, so let's dive right into the interface. Okay, so coming on to my SketchUp interface. Before I go into all the demonstrations, I'd like to show you here on my toolbar. You can see that I have my selection tools, my join push pull, visual hole, push line, and round corner. So these are 5 extensions that I have activated directly on my toolbar panel. You can find and activate these toolbars once you install these extensions. How do you find these extensions? First, we go under Window. You can always look at your extension warehouse. So that is the first way you can get your extensions directly from this extension warehouse. So you can look into category specific items from architecture. You can do rendering. You can do interior design. So this depends on your requirement and what you intend to do. You can always search for it. So I can show you an example of the selection tools that I've downloaded. Selection toys, I mean. So here, the moment you click this item in the extension warehouse, you can see the description of it and you can choose to install them. So this is quite straightforward. Directly, you can search from the extension warehouse and install, and you'll be straight imported into your workspace itself. So under Window, you can also see this thing known as, just below the extension warehouse, this is known as the extension manager. So this will allow you to have an overview of what extensions that you have downloaded and installed into your SketchUp space itself. So the selection toys you can see here now is enabled. If you require to manage them, you can choose to update them if there's a new update to it, as well as uninstall them. So this gives you the option to manage all your extensions. Earlier on, I mentioned that you can also download extensions from Sketchucation. So let me show you this interface or this website that we have here. So under Sketchucation, if you cannot find the extensions that you want in the extension warehouse, you can look into this thing, Sketchucation, under the plugin store, and you'll be able to see many different plugins here. So Fredo 6 is the developer that is in Sketchucation, so you can find his extensions directly from the Sketchucation store. So what happens is, these are the functions. You have to create a free account before you can download these extensions. So once you create an account, you can choose to download it, and the file should look like, give me a moment, let me open the file for you. So once you manage to download the file, it should look like this. So these are known as Ruby script files. So these files can be directly installed to your SketchUp interface, and I'll show you how to do it now. Okay, so under Home, you can just click Install Extension. We can go to our Ruby script files, and let's say you downloaded the Fredo 6 join push pull. You can select that file and do a quick installation directly into your workspace here. So it's a couple of more steps, but it's also quite straightforward. As long as you can get the file from Sketchucation, you can just click Install Extension and you'll be integrated directly into your SketchUp workspace. There's one more thing I'd like to show you. So this is a process where you can download from the website. But the interesting thing is Sketchucation also has a extension store plugin that directly integrates into your SketchUp. So because I downloaded quite a couple, I realized this was much easier because it allows me to, I can show you here under Sketchucation just by clicking the extension store. So now my Sketchucation extension store is integrated directly into my SketchUp space. If I need to download anything, I can always click info. It will bring me to the website on the information of the plugin. So the information of the plugin is here, and you can download it directly from your SketchUp space. So you don't have to go to the website anymore. So this is another example. If you want to use, you can download the extension store directly into your workspace also. Okay, so let's move on to the 5 main extensions that I would like to demonstrate to you. The first one here is known as selection toys. So now this interface here, and I'll show you the how you can use selection toys. Zooming into this conical shape that we have here. So by SketchUp selection tools, if you select your face, a single click, it will get you your face. A double click will get you your face with your bounding edges, and a triple click will select your entire object. But what if you want to just select the lines itself and you don't want to select the faces? You don't have that option. You have to manually pre-select every single line that you have across this entire cylinder that we have here. So what this selection toys allow you to do is to select everything and to filter out the selections that you want. So it's a very simple process where if I want my edges, I just click edges and you can see that everything else has deselected and filtered for you. So this is a very simple tool that will allow you to enhance your selection criteria directly into SketchUp. Let's try something else. So even if I select everything and let's say I don't want and I want to select my faces, sorry. So if I select my faces, you can see automatically all my lines have been deselected. So that's just a very simple example of how you can change your selections. Okay, the next one here is we have this interior set design of a kitchen. What we can see here is usually objects are classified either as groups or components. So groups are unique entities in the model, whereas components are instances where you replicate them. For example, these chairs are components, which means whatever you edit in this chair will replicate in these other two chairs. They are interconnected geometry. So if you download an interior space, for example, if you want to identify what is a component, what is a group, you can look into your components panel and you can click in model. So you can check, okay, my picture frame is a component, my oven is a component. So all this you can identify, but it might take a little bit of time for you to figure out what is a component and what is a group. So if you do just a simple selection of your entire space, you can choose to filter your groups as well as your components. So just by clicking this, they have selected for you all your components in your model. So again, it's very fast. You can select your components. You can bring your components out. So I copied it and I bring it out. It's a good practice for this because you can modify your components outside your space and it will be replicated inside your model itself. Example is if you want to build a support for this chair, for example, you want to build a base support here, it might be a few more steps for you to hide the walls just to build a support. It's always good to have an instance outside so you can directly modify this model and it will also change in your workspace itself. So let me show you an example. Okay, so if I just do a simple offset and I build some support for my chair, this will show directly into my workspace itself. So sometimes it's always handy to have an instance of that component outside your model, and then you can choose to modify them there. Okay, so now I show you the examples of edges, faces, as well as groups and components. But if you look into your tools, there's also selection toys where you can see this is the user interface settings. So this will allow you to filter much more selections just in the very four basic ones that I've shown you. So I've shown you edges, faces, groups, components, but you can also select guides, text, dimensioning, arcs, circles. So there's many more options that you can select. It depends on what you require. And the moment you click them, you can just update your SketchUp and it will show that icon here. So for example, if you take linear dimensions, you can select this, and if you hover over your entire model, you can filter out those linear dimensions also. So that is also an option for you to toggle and play around based on what you require to filter in your model. So under tools, if you're not sure what the function is for each item or each UI setting, there's an option for you to click cheat sheet here, and the cheat sheet will give you a full description of what happens when you select faces, groups, and so on. So if you're not sure what the selection criteria is, you can always look into the cheat sheet and it will show all these items here for you to explain to you what the selection is. So you don't have to worry if you're not so sure. You can always go and refer to the cheat sheet itself. Okay, let's move on to the next extension plugin that I'd like to demonstrate to you. This is known as the join push pull. Okay, so you have this is your native push pull here in SketchUp, but you realize that if I want to thicken this cylinder that I have here, so this is a surface that's created, you are not allowed to thicken this because you cannot push pull curve or smooth surfaces. The function that you can have here, it looks a little bit intimidating, so there's quite a number of functions, but don't worry, I'll explain to you step by step what each of this function does. So the first one here is an equal sign. It's kind of black in color. This will allow you to thicken a surface. So very simply, it allows you to select this surface and thicken it a specific distance. So if I put 0.045 meters, you can see that it has thickened this surface. Maybe I make it a little bit more prominent. 0.5 meters, for example. So it allows you to thicken that surface when your native tool is not didn't allow you to do that. You can also zoom into this terrain that we have here, and you can even use that equals icon, select this surface, and you can choose to thicken it. So that is also an option that you can choose. So by selecting that surface, you can choose to thicken that surface. So you can see here, the item is thickened. Okay, moving on to the next one. If you use your push-pull on flat surfaces, like this one that we have here, you realize that, yep, you can do your push-pull on these models here. But it is not allowed to do a joint push-pull of multiple surfaces at once. You can't do that in your native tool. So the J icon here will allow you to do a joint push-pull. What you have to do is you have to pre-select your faces that you want to do your push-pull. Click J, which is the blue color icon, and you can bring it up a certain distance. So this allows you to join push-pull multiple surfaces at one go. This is, I think, a really important tool to have because it can be quite frustrating if you have multiple cross-sectional areas that you want to push-pull of the same distance, but you have to click one by one. So a very good example I can demonstrate to you here is these railings that we want to create. So we have 6 different circles, and usually the process is I click one, I type in the distance, I click the next one, I type in the distance, and this goes on. If you have 20, this is going to take you a very long time. But what you can do with join push pull is you just select the faces that you require. So make sure it's the faces, not the edges. You can see that selected is highlighted. We click join push pull, and we just click our distance, and we can get all of them at one go. So this is a simple tool that you can use to really improve some of your repetitive functions that you have to use with your push pull tool. Okay, the next one I'll show you is quite a straightforward one. This will allow you to thicken a surface, this rectangle box we have, for example. And what it does, it rounds your surfaces or edges for you. So if you thicken it a total of 1 meter, it will thicken in 1 meter, but it will also round your surfaces. So that is the tool for my icon R. The next one we'll go through is vector push pull. So here we have a snippet of a landscape or site design. You can see that it's on a different elevation. It is moving up along with this grass patch that we have here. So if you want to do an edit to these pavements, so these 2 pavements that we have here, the first one is the flat pavement, and the second one is following the contour of the grass. And you want to create a curb of maybe 0.2 meters. So you can create that with the flat surface using your push pull, but you realize you cannot replicate that on your elevated or curved surface that you have here, because we are not allowed to do that using our push pull tool. So this is where the vector push pull comes in. If I select it, you can select this face now, and you can bring it up the blue axis a total of 0.2 meters. So that's the function of your vector push pull. It allows you to create your curves and 3D modeling for your landscapes, for your curved surfaces. So another example is previously, now you can see that we have already draped a pathway onto our terrain model here. If you want to create an elevation on it, you also will use your vector push pull to select that surface and bring it up a specific distance. So only this vector surface will allow you to perform these functions that I'm doing here. The next one I'll show you is this thing called normal push pull. So maybe I don't really commonly use it, but I'll still demonstrate this to you. If you see, when you create your models in SketchUp, everything is determined or defined by hidden geometry. So it's created, your 3D models is created by different faces here to create your entire cylinder. If you do your normal push pull, so let me hide this geometry again. If you do the normal push pull, what happens is if you select this cylinder surface, for example, it will still push pull individual surfaces according to the distance that you set. So if you think that this is good for your workflow, you can try to use the normal push pull function that we have here. Okay, and the final one we'll touch on for this join push pull is if we have a circle imprinted on the cylinder here, you might think, okay, we can just use the join push pull and just thicken this circle out. But if you try using the join push pull, you realize that your shape here is distorted. So this X toolbar or extrude push pull is specifically for imprinted things on curved surfaces, where you can use your join push pull and get your circular shape out. If you can see here, when I did my X icon extrude push pull, you see that my extruded face here follows the shape of my cylinder. But if you want it to be a flat surface, there are many functions that you can change when you click the icon. So this function is to flatten the surface. So what I'm explaining to you here when I click every item here is quite a basic overview of all these extensions. I highly encourage you to try to download them and to play around with a lot of the different selections that you have, because there are many different selections that you can choose to alter your model in your SketchUp itself. So I'm showing you most of the basics, but you can continue to try to explore the different functionalities of all these buttons that we have here. Okay, let's go on to the next one. This is known as Visual Hole. So this is also developed by Fredo 6, and I mentioned earlier it allows you to cut holes or inside your models itself. So let's try to use the push-pull function. This is the native tool in SketchUp. Using my push-pull, you can also extrude. So push-pull can extrude, but it also can cut surfaces. You can see here, I'm cutting my interior shape or internal shape and referencing it to the opposite side to cut holes in my model itself. So push-pull allows you to do that. But in a scenario where you have this model here, you realize that your front face is not parallel with your back face. In this case, if I push-pull this to the opposite side, you realize it will not cut a hole, rather it will create an extrusion. Even if we have a section that is parallel and a section that is non-parallel, let's try this. I reference to my this face here, you realize that it will not cut a hole as what you have desired. We try for broken faces here. So now the back is segregated by broken faces. If we try to push-pull, again, you will not get the cut that you desire because there are broken faces and faces that are not parallel with the front. So what Visual Hole does is, let me go back a few steps. So what Visual Hole does is, when I click the stencil button, the standard set stencils are the square, this hexagon that we have here, as well as a circle. But you can choose to pick a stencil shape. So this allows you to pick a stencil shape, which is this size that I have for my square. Click the center, bring it over to my model, and cut out just by double clicking. So when I just center it, I can cut out these models directly here. So it doesn't matter whether you have broken faces, whether you have non-parallel faces. What happens here is automatically it will cut that hole for you. So it's a very simple tool, but it can be very functional, especially when you're creating, if you have a architecture design and you have a slanted wall in your interior. If you use your push-pull tool, you will not be able to achieve that window you're creating or that door you're creating. And this visual hole function will be very handy for you because you just cut through the entire thing to create that hole for you. Let's try something else on this curved surface here. I click my visual hole again. The first thing I do is to pick a stencil shape. I highlight this T that we have here and I reference to this surface. So just for example, I double click here. You can see that it has cut through the entire thing, even though it is a curved surface. So that is an example of trying it on an entirely curved surface here. Okay, now we have an interior layout, and I'll show you how your visual hole can work in this scenario. Clicking this stencil, so let's first again select this stencil shape. And now, okay, I want to create a window at this point. You realize when I double click, it had cut through the entire model. So what if you only want it into your exterior walls, you don't want it to appear on the other side? You can also do that. You can see this function here. So every time you open, there will be always a couple of functions that you can use. I will show you the first one. It's called drill limited to first tube. And when you cut it, it will only cut this face and it will not cut your respective second and third wall itself. So all these functions here, you can easily find after you click the function, and you can easily find this interface for you to play around with. So it's quite flexible and it's quite a It's quite flexible for you to create all your different things, all your different holes, doors, for example, without affecting your other geometry here in SketchUp. So you can always try again and play around with these items and see what you can really do with the visual hole function itself. Okay, so let's go to the next one. It's known as push line. This is developed by Dennis. So usually when you want to use push-pull, the fundamentals is to create a surface and to use push-pull. So that is how you create your 3D models in SketchUp. However, you are not allowed to push-pull single lines that we have here. So what push line does is a very simple thing, but to me, I find it such a handy tool to have, is to push-pull your edges to create surfaces. So it's kind of like a sister function, or you could say to the native push-pull tool, but also you can just type 2 meters and you can create push-pulls in any different directions that you want. So I've tried example of creating my green axis, creating it in my green axis here. So you just got a reference to your green axis, you can type in your distance and you can get all this different push-pull to create different surfaces just by a single line. So the good thing is it also works on multiple surfaces or multiple lines. I mean, if I select everything here and I use my push line, it will extrude all the different lines for me and bring it out in my blue axis, for example. So the push line also works on curved surfaces. Here I've drawn 2 arcs connecting each other. So let me select both of them and I'll show you how push line works. Bringing it out a certain distance and you can get these curved surfaces out of it. If you use your native tools and just use line work to draw this surface that you see here, it will not create. So let me just show that to you. If I don't use my push line and I bring these 2 arcs out, so I bring it up a certain distance. So let's draw a line just to connect this geometry here. Your surface will not be created because SketchUp, when you draw line work, it only creates surfaces when your points are in planar symmetry. So that's the limitation that you have when creating faces using your native line tools. So that's where push line comes into play, where you can create many different flexible surfaces just by drawing your lines itself. So a very simple tool, but definitely a very handy function. The last one I'll show you is we have sort of a spiral line that is in different elevations going upwards. So the push line tool also works in this scenario, even if you're in different elevations, if your line is in different elevations. So bringing up push line, you can see that the surface is created like a spiral upwards. So you really have the freedom to explore all the different surfaces that you can create through your push line tool. Okay, the final one I'll go through is round corners. So the round corners consist of 3 different options. The first one is to round corner, second one is a sharp corner, and the last one is bevel, which is also known as a chamfer. Okay, we have 3 examples of these rectangles that we have modeled. And the usual process of creating, let's say if you want to round this rectangle, for example, after you have drawn this, you can do it through your native tools by using your two-point arcs. So let me click this face and bring it here. So once you see the on face reference, sometimes it doesn't show. Okay, let me click again. I should show an on face reference. Yes, so on face you can see. And once you get this, you can use your select the top surface, you can use follow me, and you can select this cross-section area that we have here to create your rounds. So again, if you want to repeat this on multiple faces, you got to go back to your arc tool, again select the point to point, find that on face, we click the bottom surface, follow me, and then round these items. So it's possible to do with your native tools, but I feel it's a little bit time consuming. So when you have these tools here, there's a very simple function where we have 3 examples here. If I click my first one, let's change our offset to a slightly larger value. I just double click and enter or tick, and your entire edges are rounded for you. So the first one was round corner. Let's try the second one, known as sharp corner. So we click sharp corner and we double click and we take it. So this is the sharp corner, and the last one I'll show you is bevel. Let's change our distance to 0.5, bigger offset value, enter. So you can see the definitions between your bevel. It creates a 45-degree chamfer, whereas your sharp corner and round corner, you might not be able to visualize or see the difference. But let me illustrate it to you here. Under your hidden geometry, you can see for your round corner, it creates this kind of tessellation or mesh that aims to smoothen the edges of your rectangle. Whereas the sharp corner here, you can see it focuses or concentrates on one point to create that sharp corner. So there is a difference between the round and sharp corner. So one more thing I'd like to show you is, you're looking at our hidden geometry here, you can see that when it rounded this rectangle, it would create 6 segments that we have here. Okay, so let me just go back a few steps and I will show you an example of using the round corner tool, and you can see this number of segments. So this defines the amount of segments when you round your solid model. Let's try to change it to 12 segments and we click OK. So now we still have our hidden lines activated. You can see now that when I changed it to 12 segments, this surface here now is representing 12 different segments. So what happens is the segments will allow you to have a smoother round. But do note, the more segments you have, the more elements you have in your model, it will take up a significant amount of computational resource. So you always need to find a balance between how much segments you want in your model, as well as how much your computer specifications can take. So what I recommend is try to keep it, your segments here at the lowest level, while still maintaining that design intent that you're looking for. Okay, so I want to show you also here that the round corner tool also works for different geometry. So now we have this steps when we have this rectangle here in the middle of it. If I use round corner, we can also choose to round these different edges that we have here. We click OK. We can, let me hide my hidden geometry again. So we can still create rounds from different geometries. And a good example here is, if you're increasing the level of detail of this very simple cupboard we have here, you can always select the item. We can choose to bevel all these edges, for example. So but just by selecting the face, you're allowed to bevel these edges. So we click OK. You can see now that you can bevel all these edges. So all this is, again, is very quick. Just by a single selection, you can increase the detail of your model. So a good example, I would like to go back to my first example I showed you. So let's say we go into this this cabinet space here, and let's say I want to round this face or round this corner, because these are sharp edges. Instead of drawing the follow me tool, you just can click your round corner, click the respective face. So this is too huge of an offset. Click the respective face and round the corners directly. So very simple tool, can easily change your geometry here in SketchUp. If you look into this picture frame, you can see that I already have detailed my external frame using my follow me tool. But what if you want to detail the inner part of the frame also? You can again use your round corner, or let's try the bevel, for example, this time. By double clicking into the model, I can click bevel, or maybe I select the respective edges first, if it's easier. So the last one, and I can click bevel, set your distance, click OK. So what happens here is a face is built on the front. You just have to delete this face, and you can see now my picture frame has even beveled the inner side of the frame itself. So all this you can use to increase the level of detail in your model directly. Okay, so that is the main 5 extensions that I have demonstrated to you. I really hope some of these extensions can be useful in your own workflow and also be quite informative to you. If you need to know any information or you still want to know more about this, you can always, I'll give you my contact later. You can always contact me on these different extensions and where you can download them to. So let me head back into our PowerPoint slide again. Okay. Okay, so now moving on, I want to talk about the SketchUp Authorized Training Center, the ATC. So what is SketchUp ATC? The ATC is an authorized training center of Trimble SketchUp, which are independent training facilities authorized to conduct SketchUp training. So ACA Pacific is the authorized training center appointed by Trimble in Singapore, and we do provide the SketchUp Essential Authorized Training. So why choose the ADC is because you can learn new skills and figure out all the latest productivity features of SketchUp. You can learn with authorized trainers. For those who have already used SketchUp or currently using SketchUp, it's a good option for you to develop that existing skill set and really get up to par with all the different functions or the new functions that we have here, as well as finally you can be a SketchUp certified user. So by taking the exam, if you pass the exam, you can be a Trimble SketchUp certified user. So now in view of the situation that we're facing here in Singapore, we are not able to conduct in-classroom training anymore. So we have moved our training totally to online training and certification program. So what you receive is your training handbook and files given in a Dropbox folder. This certificate of completion, once you complete the training, an e-cert will be given to you. You can take the SketchUp exam with us through online portal, so we can register an account for you and we can supervise you as you're taking this certification exam. And if you pass it, you will also receive the SketchUp Certified User e-certs. And the good thing about online training is you have the full recorded training session. So in a scenario where you couldn't pick up some modules, or maybe you were not able to figure out one of the modules of the training, you can always go back and revisit these training sessions, which we will provide the link to you, which you are allowed to revisit anytime. So right now we already had some of our online sessions started from April, and we're currently midway through May. So we do have quite a good response for online training, and we have opened up a couple of more slots to cater for more online training. So the first one is 27 to 28 May, but we do have training for this week, Thursday to Friday also for online training. And we really have what we have here is, if you're interested for the training, you can always register. I'll pass these links into the chat panel that we have in the GoToMeeting. So for course details and for registering for your training, you can always click these links. And for any corporate group training, if you want to train your organization or a team, you can contact us at acasyn-training at acapacific.com.sg, and we can cater some specific dates for you. Okay, we also have a Singapore SketchUp community. So this is what we want to really encourage people for SketchUp users, as well as people who are interested in using SketchUp, to come and join us in this community. What we do is, this webinar, for example, we post these webinars and recorded webinars all in this community. So if you need to revisit these extensions and its functionalities, you can join this group and view all these recorded webinars that we post. You also can receive these promotional offers. So let me show you. So all the promotional offers that we have, we will post directly into our community. And we also have different videos catered to new users as well as experienced users. So tips and tricks videos, as well as how to get started with SketchUp. So if you're a new user, you can come and visit our videos, or if you're an experienced user, you can find certain tips and tricks to help you improve your workflow. And of course, we finally hope to have a community where we can open your sharing of your design challenges, your ideas, and so on. So we hope to collaborate with one another to really help each other maximize what we can do with SketchUp itself. So this is the group link that we have. I will post this group link directly into the group chat also, and you can join us in this community. Okay, so now coming to the interactive Q&A session. So to stand a chance to win GrabFood vouchers, we will be giving away 3 vouchers worth $10 each. And I'll have some questions for you. I think the best way is to put your answers in the chat, because if everyone speaks, I'm not sure who will be the first one to answer. So what I'll do is, you can see there's a chat toolbar in your GoToMeeting panel. I'll ask these questions, and the first person to answer, you will get the prize. So this one is for Singaporeans, for locals here. Yeah. Okay. The first question is, What is the alternative platform to obtain SketchUp extensions besides the extension warehouse? Does anyone know the answer to this? You can type it in the chat. Yes, the answer is Sketchucation. So, Titipat, you have gotten the first one. Okay, so that's the first one gotten by Titipat. Okay, the next one is, which extension tool allows for the push-pull of multiple or curved surfaces? Anyone can answer this? Yes, YP, join push-pull. That is correct. So later on, you can pass me your email to your connected to your Grab account, and we'll issue you the $10 GrabFood voucher. Okay, last question. Who is the developer of the round corner extension tool? Maybe this one a little bit harder. Does anyone know round corner extension? Sharif, Fredo 6, that's right. Okay, so yeah, Sharif was the one who answered first. Fredo 6, that's correct. Yeah. Okay, so the winners are Tiripat, YP, and Sharif. So just give me a moment. Can you once you're ready, I will ask you to pass me your emails connected to your Grab accounts, and we will provide you with the $10 GrabFood vouchers. Okay, thank you so much for attending this webinar today. I really hope this has been an informative session for you. But first, I'd like to open the floor for any questions. So does anyone has any questions for the extensions or anything related to SketchUp? You can unmute yourself now and ask me these questions. I'll do my best to assist you. So is there any questions? Okay, if there isn't any questions, if you need to approach us, you can always contact us at acacin-design@acpacific.com.sg, or for any training inquiries required, you can contact us at acacin.training@acpacific. If you want to contact me personally, you can contact my email here at greghogan@acpacific.com.sg for any of your SketchUp related requests. So once again, thank you so much for everyone for coming. Before I end, can we get for YP, is YP still here? YP and Sharif and Titipat, could you private message me in this chat here your GrabFood or your Grab accounts, so that we can able to issue the prizes to you. So thank you again for attending. Stay safe, everyone. Take care.
Hi. Dua.